Hey everybody, I'm Chris Gore. Hope you're having a good Friday night. We have another Film Threat watch party for you. This is what we do every Friday. Fridays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This week, Graham Denman is here to screen with us his movie Greenlight, which if you have not seen this movie, you need to see it. It's available on all the video on demand platforms, iTunes, Amazon, Vudu, whatever your preference is. Get the movie queued up. We're going to press play in about 15 minutes. I'm going to introduce Graham and the cast of this amazing indie film. Stay tuned for a Film Threat watch party. Friday is always, to me, a day to celebrate, especially when you've survived another week in 2021. Who would have thought this year would be as exciting as it has been? I need to tell you before we get to our watch party about an event that you can be a part of. That's right, Film Threat's annual awards event. It's called Award This. It is the biggest night in independent film. This is something that I wanted to create because the movies that I tend to love, the small independent films like your Troma films, your Full Moon movies like Greenlight, and a lot of the indie films you see featured on filmthreat.com, they don't get love around award season. They do not get the love they deserve. And I know, look, I'm not going to the Oscars, and I'm not going to the Spirit Awards, but you can get a ticket to Award This. It's April 10th, but forget what I'm saying. Let's get a quick plug. John Bailey's going to tell you all about it. Let's try that again. I pushed the wrong video. It happens because look, these things happen live. Let me have John Bailey, who you know from Honest Trailers. John Bailey is the voice of Honest Trailers. He is known as the epic voice guy. Let him tell you all about our Award This event.
In a world where every award show is a fucking Zoom call, comes Award This. From your pals at Film Threat comes a celebration of true independent films. Join us on April 10th at a socially distanced drive-in. In fact, I'll be there as your announcer, wearing a hazmat suit and inside a giant Bacta tank. And prepare for a virtual award show unlike any other ever in the history of mankind, or awards kind. Award This 2021. It's happening, whether you like it or not. Drive-in live event on Saturday, April 10th. Virtual award show on Sunday, April 18th. Get tickets now at awardthis.com.
Now, the reason I bring this up is because Greenlight has been nominated in several categories, actually, for Award This. It was a film I saw maybe a year ago where I never forgot this movie. Graham actually did an interview on the Film Threat podcast. We had a great conversation. He was in my kitchen where we recorded it. This is when we could get together physically in person. So this is obviously before our initial lockdown. Graham and I had a great conversation. I never forgot this film, and everyone that I introduced the movie to has really loved it. It's incredibly original, and I'm excited. Let's just get Graham on the show right now.
Hi.
Graham Denman, how are you, man?
I'm Graham Denman.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I'm drinking a whiskey Coke out of a Laurel and Hardy cup in my new home in Glendale, California. And I'm just hanging out with you, getting ready to watch a movie that we made a few years ago that I'm extremely proud of. And yeah, I think it's going to be a real good time.
Well, it's going to be fun, especially for those who haven't seen it. And I will remind everyone, you'll see the little thing at the bottom. Get the movie right now. We're going to provide a live commentary, and you can ask questions. So I want to say to everyone watching right now, post in our chat, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or whatnot, post questions as you watch the film with us, and Graham and the cast will do their best to answer your questions. And Graham, I'm hoping I'm going to see you at the drive-in. This drive-in that we're doing with the Frida Cinema in Tustin, California. We're doing this pop-up drive-in on the roof of a parking structure, and this is where we're doing it. Look, a lot of award shows, they're doing Zoom calls. we're doing it live, and
You're doing it the right way. You're doing it where it's still an interactive, in-person event to some degree, and that to me is amazing in today's circumstances. So we appreciate it.
Exactly. We have to do. Look, we're going to be COVID safe. We're all social distancing, but there's no reason we can't have fun. There's no reason why we can't celebrate indie films that often get overlooked, but once you see them, you're amazed. And before we introduce the cast and get ready to watch the movie, and also answer the questions, please post right now your questions, comments. Greenlight, if you just caught this, go check out the trailer online on YouTube or whatnot before you get ready. But Graham, where did this project come from?
Well, I had a buddy who was a producer that was basically trying to help me get my first feature made. And we were going over ideas of things that I'd come up with over the years to try to get something going that we could try to find a writer for and get a script for. And eventually, none of my pitches were what I felt were right to make, and neither did he. And then eventually I was just at a place where I said, what about, like, how far would you go to make your first feature film? And when I said that, he was like, keep talking. And we just kind of, I just started going, and I just started coming up with all these ideas. And eventually he introduced me to Patrick, who wrote the film. And Patrick just was a whiz with being able to take everything that I had conceived and find format to it and be able to tell a really cool story throughout that. And I think because of, the way that Patrick and I and one of his best friends who I met through Patrick, who became the DP of the film, that's Powell Robinson. We've all been starving artists and filmmakers for a very long time, and we've all been trying to show people what we're capable of, whether it be a short film, an acting role, being a DP, being a PA, doesn't matter. And unfortunately, I think a lot of us felt that this is the kind of business where even when you try really hard, you're still kind of met with not where you want to be all the time. And we were all able to kind of relate to that and just throw all of that into the script, and it became just a very cool concoction between a lot of people who just felt like they had something to say about independent filmmaking made by independent filmmakers. And that's how the movie came to be.
Well, I responded to it for the same reason, just watching it and relating to it. So many people travel from all over the country, and they come to Hollywood, and they'll do anything to make a movie. And just that premise alone is something that I identified with. And I watched it with a friend of mine. The first time I watched it with a friend of mine who's a filmmaker, and we sat and watched, we're like, oh man, this is so relatable. Even the stuff like the little sort of touches of things that happen on a film set, very, very relatable. I realize as I'm watching this, I have not gotten my hair cut in a very long time.
That's okay. I just got mine cut 2 days ago, so I got you beat, but you still look great.
Well, there you go. So let's bring on the cast. We have some questions. Al asked, where can I see the full list of award this nominees? Go to filmthreat.com or go to awardthis.com. That's where you can get tickets to award this. And you'll discover, when I really look at the list of movies that we put together, there's like over 70 movies on this list, all in various categories: comedy, sci-fi, horror, even like indie romantic comedies. It's like a curated list of the best indie films you need to know about, and Greenlight is among them. Let's bring on the cast right now. Let's just bring them all on right this moment.
There's some beautiful people.
Everybody here. All right. Graham, I'm going to put you in the pole position here. I'm going to move myself over here.
Yeah.
Why don't you introduce the cast?
I would be happy
to see everybody.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. So first we got Mr. Chase Williamson, the star of our film. You guys may know him from John Dies at the End. It's one of my favorite actors ever. We got Chris Browning, who plays Bob Mosby in the film. We got Patrick Robert Young, the writer of the film. Caroline Williams, right there, beautiful as ever. Shane Coffey, so happy you could join us, buddy. Shane plays Chase's best friend in the film, but they happen to be best friends in real life as well. So I'm glad everybody's here. Powell Robinson, right there, the DP, the man who made this movie as gorgeous as it is for the very little amount of money we had to make it for. And Mr. Chris Gore, a man who created Film Threat magazine. So thank you for having us, Chris. We really all appreciate it.
Well, I'm so excited you're all here. We're going to press play on the movie in about 5 minutes. Let's assume you're all standing up. Movie theaters are open again, which please, they need to open movie theaters. I live walking distance in Pasadena to 3 movie theaters, all of them closed. Need those movie theaters to be open. But when they're open, like one of the things I always love, like seeing a movie at a film festival, is the intro to the film. You know, there's a little cast intro, and then you get the Q&A after the film. If you were all standing in front of an audience at a film festival, packed audience, which Graham, I know you got to see this movie before the lockdown, before movie theaters closed.
Yeah, well, that's actually the craziest thing is I'm so grateful that we got to have the premiere we did at Shriek Fest before the world went to shit, because I feel like that was the, you know, I dreamed of making movies my whole life. Everybody involved in this movie has obviously dreamed of making movies their whole life. And it felt very special to be able to have a moment where we could enjoy a movie in a regular setting, in a regular world again, before, you know, everything just kind of went to shit. Because now it's almost like, oh, we got to have at least a real premiere before the world ended and before it's forever changed, possibly. Who knows how premieres and movies will be in the future, but hopefully it'll all go back to normal sooner than later.
Well, you're fortunate to be able to have seen it, you know, with an audience, because I think this is one of those films that's an audience pleaser for sure. But what would anyone like to say before we watch the film in about 5 minutes or so? We'll all watch it together. Consider this your introduction at a festival. What are people about to see? What can they expect? No spoilers yet. You know, there'll be a lot of spoilers to discuss as we watch the film. But I'm also like just amazed to see like Chase from John Dies Again and Chris Browning, who's super intense, and Carolyn. I feel like I'm just I'm just going to be very quiet and I'm going to stop gushing because I'm going to embarrass myself if I keep talking. but what would you like to say to everyone before they see the film?
Buckle up. It's going to be
Yeah. Oh my God. That is the best thing you could have said.
I feel like I really love this movie. It's the only time I've ever played someone who was motivated and worked hard. So, and that way I feel like I really got to do something different.
How about you, Chris?
I was just thrilled to play someone. I mean, yeah, I'm playing a bad guy as usual, but I was playing a bad guy in a suit, and I never get to wear suits.
You look damn good in one too. Very old school. You've got the Lee Marvin in you, the Robert Mitchum type. I dig it.
Yeah. Well, I'll take that.
Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Shane Coffey? It's
Most
good to see you,
definitely.
brother. How did you feel about being on this film? What should people be expecting to see?
Well, we've all been holding this secret for a couple years now. I just want to tell everyone that it's based on a true story, and every direction in the film actually happens. And I'm here to confess right now. But,
It's a documentary.
Yeah, there is somebody who died making this movie, but we won't say who because that'll take away from the joy.
Yeah, one of us is dead.
Yeah. We won't say who's the ghost. That's the game we're going to play. Who's the ghost? Caroline, how about yourself? How do you feel about the film and what should people expect to see?
From the cold open to the end, it's fucking top of the line movie making. May as well have been a $5 million movie.
If
I
only.
tell
But
people
that's
that
the
all
way
the
I
time.
feel. That's the way I feel about it.
It's the best movie for the money by far that I've ever done.
Oh.
I mean, I don't even.
Easily.
I'm embarrassed to tell people how much it costs, but because I'm afraid they won't watch it.
Sure. Well, what I found with this movie in particular is that because of the budget and it being so under what we made it look like, it almost impresses people more, and they get more enjoyment out of it, being able to see like, holy shit, you guys did that for $50,000? Like, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a pretty special thing that we were able to do that, what we did for what we had.
Definitely. I shot a short for 50 grand.
I've done the same.
Yeah.
How about you, Patrick? How do you feel about the film, and what do you expect people are going to see? I'm ready for your answer.
No. I mean, I love the movie, and it was certainly incredibly elevated by this wonderful cast. And I think the coolest part of this movie is it's whether it's because of the budget range or the people involved, I think it's pretty risky in terms of content. It's not a straight horror movie. It's pretty noir-esque. I mean, one of our biggest influences on it was De Palma's Blowout. It's not just front to back gore or ghosts or anything. As much as I love those, it was cool to just work on an inside baseball film thriller. It's cool.
How about you, Mr. Powell Robinson, DP extraordinaire?
I just like it as a time capsule. I think a lot of what we did on that was very from the story to actually how it was made. There was a lot of all of us put into it on both fronts. I don't know. The set in the movie that you're seeing is lit with the only lights we actually had on the set. So you're watching us making the movie as much as you're watching the characters make a movie. It's really, it's more us than I think we'd like to admit.
Yeah, very true.
Props and practicals, right?
Now, when I watched the movie, I feel like we made more of a biopic than we did a regular film or a documentary. But yeah, no, I just want to say one last time too. I'm just very grateful that you guys are all here and that everybody's proud of this movie because it means a lot to me that you were all part of the journey. So I'm excited that we'll be able to watch it with some people today and just kind of celebrate it and talk about it for a little bit.
And it's fun too. The thing I talk to people about this a lot is that doing little movies, little indies, especially this one, it was the whole vibe of it was like, hey, this is I just want you guys are what's going to make this or break it. Have fun, bring what you want, come up with what you want, just have a good time. Whereas sometimes on a giant budget movie, every little comma has been approved by a studio and they kind of frown on you running with it very much. But we just had a blast. We just went where we went and came up with ideas for things and different approaches to scenes and things. And we had that freedom, thanks to Graham just saying, yeah, man, let's try it. And so much of that made it in the movie.
And some of it, was, against what the writer wanted. That's fine.
We didn't allow him in the building.
Yeah, no.
I was cooking the food.
He was. Patrick was cooking the food. Patrick saved us a good amount of money by cooking food, and you were a great cook, a great writer, and a great friend during the movie, buddy. So thank you.
It was great.
I see Chris Gore talking, but I don't hear Chris Gore's voice.
Yeah, I warned you guys. I said, sometimes you'll mute yourself and forget you're muted. Then I'm the one that does it. So
That's all right.
well, that's typical. But are we about ready to watch the film? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm good to go. I've got it set at 0 seconds. So
And
Let's get this over with.
I just want to do some shout outs to some people. Neil Damiano's out here. Alexander is doing some comments. Bobby Lapierre. We've got a good crowd. Mike is here. Mark, Amy Schultz. They're
I love Amy.
Oh, awesome. Wait, you guys, you know her. Okay, that's cool. I don't know. Look.
I know Alex.
But just I'll be running the chat. Say hi or shout out or respond to questions as we go. Graham, I think it's really though up to you to do the countdown for us to start. So would you do the honors? Everyone's got the movie. Everyone's got the movie queued up, right? Including everybody watching, right? Everybody's queued up.
Everybody better at this point. If they don't, you're fucking
You're gonna get some spoilers.
Right.
Okay, cool.
You don't want to be 10 minutes behind everyone else.
Pictures presents right now.
That's right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to push play at 0 seconds in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go.
Oh,
Pictures present.
okay. I think we're all good.
Dual visions. Is that Whose company is that?
Dual
That's
Visions
Ryan.
was
Best
John
cold open.
Conduit.
Best cold open. I'm saying it now.
Oh yes, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I wouldn't say it's the best cold open because I've seen some pretty damn good films out there in my life.
Fucking
But
best.
No, this is pretty great.
no, I'm happy with it.
Except for
No,
Goodfellas
but
with
Graham,
the
this is
trunk.
so exciting to see. Like having only read the script, and then when I got to see this in the theater, that this was cold open. It was amazing. I got chills.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
God.
there's Mika Fitzgerald and Sean Keller. And there's my friend Stephanie Jens. At the time, Stephanie and I were dating. We're still very close friends, but here you'll see a great performance out of her.
And
I always wondered how many people would have signed out right here and said, "Oh, I hate westerns," and
Yeah,
left.
sure. It is a bizarre opening. I remember when Patrick wrote this opening, there was a couple of different versions we had where like Chase would have been like still. Oh, I guess I can't really spoil it for people who haven't seen, but Chase would have been involved somehow in this opening, and I'm glad it came out the way it did, though, because I do feel it is a really awesome way to open a movie, and it just kind of opens up the scope of everything.
There was an earlier version of it. I think the first version of it I wrote was like in a teenage, like
This is perfect segue.
a girl's bedroom. It was like a Conjuring Twilight ghost version. This is better.
And this is such the pitch meeting of being like at one of those like half interested development executives. Oh, wow.
Well, this is based directly on an experience Graham had.
Absolutely, yeah. This is based on a very real experience I had where I won't name the company, but I went in to pitch, and the only difference in this is that he's actually looking Chase in the eye. The guy that I pitched to was just eating his food and didn't make eye contact with me once while I pitched multiple movies to him. So it wound up in the script.
Also, the scene that opening scene has that giant bag of money. I've seen things that look legit. You ever like worry about it? Like if someone dropped it, I mean, that could cause a fight, or
Sure. I mean, thankfully, we were out in the desert with a very small skeleton crew. Funny enough, that scene with the money and the Western and everything, that was our last day of shooting. And there was maybe about 6 of us out there in the desert, and that was it. And here's Evan Friedman. Evan Friedman gives an incredible performance in this movie. She plays Jack's girlfriend, Chase's girlfriend, rather, in the film. And I think she's gonna blow up big time over time. That girl's got serious talent.
Bobby Lapierre asked a question you might want to respond to on this.
How did you land on this particular cold open if there were all those all those options? I was a big fan of a lot of Westerns, and Patrick and Powell and I had worked together in the past, and Powell shot a short film that I did for Crypt TV that also starred Mika, and that was kind of a desert Western thing. And I don't know, it just felt right. It just felt like that was.
Well, we wanted to start the movie with a massive bit of scope. You know, a lot of this movie is indoors and on set, so we thought starting in this big wide desert would be a really cool difference from going that to a really small office right after. And also, it's not there anymore, but the movie was supposed to end in the desert. And so it was supposed to bookend the movie, but that's no longer there.
No, but that was a sick ending. I loved your ending, buddy.
What did
you shoot this
that
on?
was an Alexa Mini with Cook Mini lenses, and like seven old Fresnel lights that the stage happened to have. So. And a lot of credit to our colorist, Keenan Chobani, who had only enough time to do, I think, 1.5 passes and did an amazing job on the movie.
Keenan rocked it for sure. It's so crazy when you make a movie, whether it's a short or anything, and you see the raw footage compared to what someone like Keenan does to it. really just makes the whole, it's a whole nother world. It just changes the movie and elevates it by so much. It's beautiful. There's Rudy Scalise, who was our producer on the film, just got knocked out with a hammer. And Nicole Shipley, who's an amazing actress. And there's Mr. Shane Coffey. Look at you, buddy. There you are.
He's playing Pal in this movie.
Yeah. I love it.
I have to say, Shane, my buddy Bobby, who's a filmmaker, I watch this movie with, and he always wears a backwards baseball cap. That is such a set thing. Like people who work, in camera, there's always one guy with a backwards baseball cap. There's always got like all these little.
I tried to get Graham to let me wear a hat throughout the whole.
I remember
we have a scene that specifically addresses that.
Yeah.
Chase, you just reminded me, that's how that scene came about with you saying, oh, should I wear a hat or do I look good with a hat? That was all because I was like, no, don't do it. And we just put it in the film. but I do love that moment regardless. So either way, you still got a hat for a little bit.
Oh, that's our key grip walking in the background with Graham there.
He's watching monitor.
Yeah. Watching monitor in that shot, and slowly it's going static because the receiver could not connect that far away.
Yeah, because of how much of this takes place on set, anytime you see crew members, those are our actual crew members usually doing actual work.
Yeah. One of the big bonuses about making a movie, about making movies, is we were able to just leave things like, carts and camera equipment and C-stands, you name it, or get crew members to just step in and help kind of open up the world and make it feel a little bigger than it was.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because that's like you could just it doesn't matter. There's like a C-stand in the background. It's like, well, that would be true.
We became art department. The grip and lighting teams, we would put gear purposefully around the set, knowing it would be seen later, and even our crew, I would leave them on certain stands so you could see them actually in the background. So yeah, it was a all-in effort. You'll see. I'll bring it up later. There's a shot where my AC is pulling focus for the movie within the movie while he's actually pulling focus on Greenlight. And he's just in the shot at the background, watching.
What we need to do is one of those pop-up video things.
These
if we ever
parents
get
are fucking evil in this
movie. It tells you all the little facts throughout. What were you saying, Caroline? Sorry, go ahead. No?
The parents, they are so evil. They're so awful.
Oh,
they're
they're so good, though.
Just
Miss
so
Danielle Basouti. Danielle Basouti is one of the greatest improv actors I think I've ever met. I think Chase would agree with me. You loved her as well, didn't you? I remember we talked about how great she was.
I laughed and laughed at her. She was
funny. There was so much of her stuff that unfortunately wound up getting cut just due to time and trying to get to the meat of the scene. But holy shit, Danielle Basouti is just a phenomenal talent. I would hire her any day. The other guy here, Brian Cousins, we had another actor in the role, and the night before, actor dropped out, and we suddenly had to find a replacement. Thankfully, Brian came in and saved the day. But I do love this scene. I feel like
it's at my parents' actual house.
That's right.
I mean, has anybody had this experience actually happen with parents?
Yeah, but in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Not
older white people love me.
I had a parent when I was dating their son, and I said I was an actress. They said, "What restaurant do you work at?"
Oh,
Not that.
That's rough.
It's called Massacre 2, you bitch.
So you're a bum.
What are the chances that Hans has ever seen the movie? Sounds pretty awesome. Funny enough, the movie within the movie, The Sleep Experiment, was a script that I originally wanted to pursue. I liked the idea of a bunch of people losing their minds and not being able to sleep and just kind of killing each other by the end of it. But that movie never came to fruition. And when it came time to write this film and we were trying to figure out, well, what movie are they making? I just pulled that one out and said, why don't we do this? And I think Patrick did a really great job of integrating that idea into a much smaller format, but still making it, I don't know, pay enough homage to what should have been. I think it came out pretty cool.
There's a fairly similar movie that actually did end up getting made called Sleep No More, starring
Really?
Graham Denman.
Is that based on like the live haunt?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Chase, you just look adorable in this movie.
Particularly the sweater.
I feel like I've aged like a decade since like this.
I think we all have. I personally don't think you look like you've aged, but I think we all feel that we've aged some time and just in the last year.
I
Or
mean,
the
I guess
last 4-ish years.
when did we shoot this?
20.
We shot this, was it 3 years ago at this point?
4, I feel like.
4. Jesus. There you go.
I was still in my 20s.
Yeah, I had just turned 30 when we made this movie,
Oh.
and now I'm going on 35. So there you go. You're right. Damn. Well, that just made me feel like shit. I'll see you guys later. I love this scene. This is great stuff.
My friends laughed at me when I got out of the car at the premiere because they thought I looked so serious.
Born Identity style with the leather jacket.
Dude, that leather jacket was so badass. I was actually jealous that was your jacket. I wanted to. And here we go. Another introduction to the one and only Chris Browning. Such a bad.
Oh yeah, you did the big reveal like you had a big A-lister in your movie or something.
Hey man, you're an A-lister in my book, buddy. Look at that mug. So good.
There's a sick poster in the background. That movie looks tight.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, that poster behind Mosby that says "Bastard" is actually a film
in 10 minutes to midnight.
written and directed by Powell and Patrick. Before I met them, it was one of the 8 films to die for. I'm a huge fan of that movie, and if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, go out of your way to watch Bastard. That's a really fun independent film.
Starring a sweet, gorgeous angel named.
I'll say this: I've met a lot of dirtbag producers in my time.
Hey, me too.
I first moved to Los Angeles in the '90s, and I'll say that this is the way that Chris plays this is not even the worst person I've met. Like,
oh wow,
so bad. Like, I mean, Chris's character is just an insane asshole, but like I've met worse.
Yeah.
Stories I'm saving for at some point
for a book that you're gonna write.
And then I'm out. That's when I'll leave California. So this was very relatable.
I always find myself getting so sucked into any scene that is just Chase and Chris together, because I really, and I've said this to both of you on numerous occasions, I think you guys had just such great chemistry, especially for the way this movie was put together. And when Chase came on board and when Chris came on board, there was like no real room for rehearsals. We did one table read before the film, and you guys just got each other and you got the material. And I don't know, man. I'm always fascinated watching the two of you. You guys have such great instincts as actors. It's really awesome to see.
Well, Chris is the devil. I mean, I really feel like he's the devil, and you know, dangling temptation is the way it's played, and it's so perfect. Like, and the way it escalates too. I don't want to ruin it for anyone watching, but it gets way more and more intense.
Great. Now they know it escalates.
Sorry.
Spoiler.
I thought this was a comedy. Chase, who was responsible for your wardrobe on this day? Because I know we had two. It was you. This was your clothes that you brought, right?
Yeah, that's all my shit.
I know that there were days where you were dressed by two of our costume designers, but there were definitely days where you would just bring a lot of your own clothes, and I was like, damn, that guy knows how to dress, dude.
I literally never wear anything you're seeing in real life. I just have it. I have no idea what the jacket is.
It's just so he's so seductive.
Same.
He's like a cobra.
Also, I'm so
Coming
glad
up
that
out
there's
of
this
the
trope in
basket.
movies
Chris
where,
says.
like, when you turn on stage lights, it sounds like cannons going off. I love it. But, like, when you actually walk in, it's just like a set of, like, 6 switches. You kind of, like, flick.
Yeah.
The doors.
It's like you're
This is
lighting
fucking great.
stadium lights.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite moment of the score.
Yeah, it's definitely really good at capturing.
The film. I was like, damn.
And I remember trying to explain to our sound designer and our composer what I wanted here for Chris's voice, where Chase seemed tuned out and just kind of in his own world. And I was like, oh, like you're gonna have Chris's voice be more of an echo, so that it's like he's not really paying attention. And it took me a few times to get that scene right, where I had to approve it like 6 different times because they didn't get it till the final one. But I really love how this scene came together.
Graham hands.
Graham hands, yeah. That's a little film trivia. That's a pickup shot we did a year after we shot the movie.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
I called up the studio and I was like, "Hey, do you guys still have that rug that's on the floor?" And in the film, and we just laid down that rug, did an over-the-shoulder shot, and that's my little baby lady
The
hand.
photography
flipping through
is
that
so
script.
the composition of the shots, the camera angles, everything that you did, it's just so the tone and the mood of the movie is just starts with that, and it's just perfection.
You want to be my PR person, Caroline?
I watched it last night.
I'll hire you. You're great.
And now I'm watching it again.
I
And
want
it's
Caroline
fucking
being a
awesome.
maniac.
Yeah, right?
And my mom.
Well, I got fired by mine, so I don't know, man. I don't know how much you actually want.
Well, we need to join forces.
Yeah.
Stick it to the man.
Piranha 2.
Well,
I
I've
love
worked
that we
for
have a
Hal
Piranha 2
since,
joke.
and we had the time of our frickin' lives,
Oh,
but the music
Yeah,
video never
right.
came out.
yeah, it was such a bummer.
I took off my shirt, I twirled it like a lariat, and I threw it towards the camera, and it draped perfectly over the lens. It was artfully done.
Professional actress. Hit those marks.
Here's another question, Graham.
The thing I love about Chase's performance, you can see him trying to out-angle Chris Browning. And somewhere deep inside, you know he's not going to be able to do it. And it makes you love him more. And we really, this is the kind of the point in the story where you know that something's up. Something's up. And the suspense just
That head tilt.
Yeah, I think his this character's earnestness
here it is.
was really important
Boom.
because you never see his talent.
Yeah.
I did notice that when we were making it. I was like, maybe this guy isn't talented. Maybe he's just being like placated by all these people. But I realized that wasn't a strong choice. So
I mean, true to life, right?
Just
Pretty similar to the real film.
And Chris chews gum the whole time. Because you know he wants to bite somebody, chewing, biting, crunching.
Yeah.
That's who he is. It's that predatory thing.
Just to answer the quick
I love
fan
this
question
movie so
popped
much.
up a second ago.
And
all
it's
the
seamless.
departments-
Nothing falls apart in this story. Nothing.
Let's see here. Bobby says, given the small nature of the cast and crew, how much say did all departments have in the aspects of the film, since everything is pretty interrelated and important for the story to work? I think everybody, due to the budget that we were working with and the fact that this very much was a passion project, that we all loved the script, we all just wanted to see it come to life, everybody kind of had their hands in it. Everybody had their ideas, but I would say that Powell and I had a really strong idea going in what we wanted it to look like, what kind of color palette we wanted to use, what kind of clothing we wanted Chase and Chris to be in. But everybody was pretty much able to contribute in some way to to really bring out the best in what we had. Look at that. Caroline, Stephen Leibowitz says that he met you when he was a PA on Chainsaw 3.
Oh,
How sweet is that?
I don't think she heard you.
Can you hear me, Caroline, or are you just in your own world?
she's watching the movie, dude.
That's right.
She's watching the movie. She's one of the few of us that are watching it.
Here's the hat.
The hat scene.
Hat. Weirdly, I got that sweatshirt, that laces sweatshirt from Goodwill, and my friend came to the premiere with me, and she was like, "Where did you get that sweatshirt? I was in that program."
Oh,
Really?
It's a leadership program at like LA high schools,
Amazing.
that's awesome.
like smart kids.
It works, though. You look great in pretty much any color, but that blue really does do you some justice in this scene. It's nice.
Do you have to clear those
There's
things?
Caroline. You look wonderful in this, Caroline. So nice.
Gorgeous.
To answer that question, none of us got paid enough.
Wait,
No.
you got paid?
I was going to say, this is a snarky question.
I don't know. Yeah, not really sure about that.
Here we have.
I'm just going to say Victor
Turpin.
Turpin. Victor Turpin
Oh.
is so freaking hot
I've seen
He's
him in
the
a lot of,
hottest
he's been in a lot of stuff.
on the planet.
Yeah, he's been doing a lot lately for sure. I've noticed.
And
He did
Bill
a
Shipley is the hottest.
J-Lo.
Also, you don't follow Victor on Instagram. His Instagram
that girl's
presence is
gorgeous.
truly unique.
I can't imagine what you mean, but I hope to find out soon.
His, I've just seen him like
If they
imitate
had a
lizards
baby,
and do a lot of
I would,
stuff you
like,
wouldn't
steal
expect
the
Victor to
baby.
do on his stories. It's wonderful. He's he had a whole series of making lizard noises one day, and it was my favorite.
All right, you got to follow from me.
So cute.
Powell, do you remember when we were getting ready to shoot this film and you said, where are we going to shoot Jack's apartment? And I said, we'll shoot it in my place with Jeff. And you said, I will pay you $1,000 to please not shoot there. and we shot there, and it actually came out great. I
It
think
worked.
was
It
awesome.
worked great. It's just we made it look a lot bigger than it actually is.
Yeah.
I think in the movie it was cramped is generous for a film crew to be in. Like
Yeah. It
shot
was
great though.
definitely-
But hey, look, another bastard poster in the background behind Nicole Shipley's head.
I had to go to the hospital this day.
What happened to you?
Oh, that's right.
I hit my head on a window.
Oh,
corner.
that's right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Patrick came around the corner and was like, I need to go to the hospital.
So
He had blood all over his head, and I thought he was goofing. I thought it was just like, I was like, is that ketchup or something? And he was like, no, I cut my head on a window.
Guys, small stitches.
How many stitches did you get?
I don't know. Enough.
It's giving you brain damage. You forget now.
Yeah.
Here's a question for Caroline. Does Caroline have any epic Dennis Hopper on the set stories?
Oh, there you go. That's good.
I don't know if she can hear us at all.
I don't know. Caroline, can you hear us?
We're
She's never
not
seen the
talking
movie.
about Dennis.
All right, we'll check in with Caroline.
Did someone text Caroline?
I'll text her. I think she might be on mute, like
Yeah.
that was talking about.
What?
Muting.
No,
What?
she's got spotty internet.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Caroline?
Nope.
Foreshadowing.
She's frozen.
I'm not muted.
You
Everything's
keep
very
freezing,
glitchy.
Caroline.
Nothing's,
Are you on the right
you know, it's
Wi-Fi?
just weird.
Sometimes my
Everybody
Wi-Fi
else
jumps
keeps
on like
freezing, too.
a
And there's
neighbor's, and
three
it's terrible.
circles. Graham is not up. Powell is not up. I mean, this is
She just disappeared.
This is like that horror film Host.
Yeah.
Saw
This is
that.
actually an interactive experience if you weren't ready for it.
Right. Okay, well, there's some really good questions in the chat. Blowout was mentioned before. I consider Blowout De Palma's finest work. How much was this film influenced by Blowout?
This film was heavily influenced by Blowout. But before I talk about it real quick, though, I just want to say Shane is awesome in this scene. I love seeing the chemistry that you guys have. It was so helpful that you guys were best friends, because at the time we were casting this movie, and we casted Chase, we had no idea who was going to play Sam. And Chase, you were so generous during the time we were filming and giving me all these ideas for other actors we could use. Before we even landed Chris, you were sending me suggestions for Mosby and stuff. And Sam got cast with Shane Coffey in the role because you guys were real friends in real life. You had history together, and I really do think it shows. And I'm very grateful that you recommended him because, man, you guys really do rock it in this movie. It comes through. This sounds pretentious and cliche, but it's true. Like your guys' friendship comes through the screen.
Totally does.
Chris, bring me back
Shane,
in, dude.
You're in.
And here's like one of my favorite things I've ever shot with Powell in my life is this oneer that I think took us like 14 takes to do. But anyway, let me get to the Blowout question. Blowout heavily inspired this movie.
This is a great segment.
I'm a huge De Palma fan. And De Palma is obviously mentioned in this movie at least twice, and I think there's a background reference to him as well.
Wait, hold on. This is the scene I was talking about. That's Carter actually pulling focus in the background.
That's right.
The dude behind Chase is legitimately pulling, on both.
And in the back window, the guy that's like looking like he's doing something with a screwdriver, that's me watching a monitor on the other side of the set to make sure that I know what's going on as we film it. So crazy.
Sorry, Blowout. Continue.
So Blowout was a huge inspiration. Blowout's one of my favorite movies ever made in the history of cinema. I just think it is such a badass movie on top of the fact that it's not afraid to have a bleak ending and look at the darker side of things without sugarcoating it. And I just think Brian De Palma was on fire for that movie. So
I love this actor. So awesome.
And myself watched it a lot when we were getting ready to make this. All right, Chase is BRB. Go ahead, buddy.
It's funny. There was that line earlier from Shane saying to fuck James Franco. And I wrote that line and then ended up working for James Franco's company for 2.5 years.
Love it.
I sent that scene to his girlfriend once. It was great.
Dude, I haven't watched this movie in a minute, and it's really cool to see it again and realize how much work we did with gels. Powell, do you want to talk for a minute about some of the gel work we did on this? Because I know Dario Argento and Bava were big influences on us, but how did you come about doing some of this work that you did here?
Yeah, I mean, now it's really funny to look back on this movie because we shot this, I would say, like 1 year before LEDs and like RGB LEDs were hugely available and popular. And so, now everyone just uses sky panels and light masks and just change the color to anything. We individually gelled every single light you're seeing in this movie the traditional way. And so, that took a while. But yeah, I mean, one of my favorite cinematography references that Graham gave me was Suspiria and a bunch of other Bava movies. And so we just went full Italian horror movie with all the sleep experiment lighting.
I love that. I also love that, we realized this in editing, and Powell and I laughed our asses off about it numerous times, is that they do this take that is kind of messed up in the world of the movie. And then the AD is like, do you want to do it again? And Chase is like, no, that was perfect. It's like, perfect. He's a horrible filmmaker if that's what he thinks.
Yeah. I always wondered that.
Did you? Well, there you
go.
Really
moving on after that?
Okay. That was the one.
I mean, I think there's something to be said about, white guy director cruising through these things.
Caroline's back, by the way. I think.
Yay, Caroline.
Oh, there she is.
Still can't hear me, but it's okay.
It's all right.
She must have AT&T in North Hollywood, which I hear is very bad. So.
I have AT&T. We're doing all right.
You doing okay? Good. Oh man, that gum chew. Nobody chews gum more menacingly than Chris Browning. Like
How much gum did we go through, Chris? I feel like you just had a carton of it.
I had a gum person.
Talk about chewing the scenery.
Ooh.
I like Carolyn's description of it because it's just that. What were you saying? Like he was going to bite somebody or so. It was the only way that I could relax.
Well, I remember we talked about when we were developing your character for the time we had before we started shooting. I think I had told you something along the lines of Mosby is essentially a wolf in sheep's clothing, but his clothing is too tight, so he needs something that kind of helps him stay grounded a little bit. And then you came up with the thing about the gum and having something to do for that character. And I really like that because it does actually bring something out in your performance. Love that.
I'm better. Remind that scene in Butch and Sundance when they see if Redford can shoot a gun for the mining company and he misses and he says, "Can I move? I'm better when I move." And do you remember that scene?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel. Like if I can move, if I can have some kind of movement, I'm a lot more relaxed and loose and able to come up with stuff. But if I have to just have a still mouth, good stuff doesn't come out of it.
Somebody's asking you, Chris, is Chris Browning intentionally meant to be Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate in this scene? Definitely vibes I'm getting here. Not that I know of, but Chris, why don't you talk a little bit about what you feel inspired your character on your side of things?
Yeah, I usually have something in you know that I'm trying to channel. You know, when I'm doing something, I got like, oh, you know, this kind of reminds me of so and so in this movie or whatever, and I'm always doing that. But I don't remember having a particular guy in mind for this one. I just
You know, you told me something, Chris, close to the end of the shoot that you were trying to channel, and I love that you had brought this up. It was you talked about an interview Anthony Hopkins had done about Silence of the Lambs, where like staring just off of lens and holding your gaze too long off lens before looking back at an actor was a great way to build tension without having to do almost any work. And that you do that a few times in the movie, but I had asked you about it because I was like, we were trying to find you cool off-camera eye lines for when you were doing that, and like I asked you eventually like where'd that come from, and
I forgot about that. So what
that was at least in your head at some point.
I'm looking off camera and then
like you would have really specific eye lines that you would like find where you would look off camera until it was your time to say your line and then look back at Chase. And it was
I mean I study Tony Hopkins a lot, and then we just that guy, because he doesn't have to do anything and you're just watching him. He can be standing next to people that are having a screaming match and you're watching him listen.
Yeah. I just saw the question on the color choice. That was definitely a thing Graham and I talked about a whole lot beforehand, where we had two kind of worlds. One was the world that, like, you know, Jack lives in, and then the world of the Sleep Experiment. So Sleep Experiment was entirely all the colors ripped right from Suspiria. I would say every gel choice, except for one, which is the yellow that we use, and it's just my gaffer's favorite yellow. And so that was around. As far as the main, like the actual world of Greenlight, Graham just sent me Blowout and Magnolia as two references for the movie, and so we just used their color palettes to kind of dictate that.
It's my favorite scene in the movie.
Mine too.
I love
And we did it twice?
Yeah, it was so fast.
We did it twice.
Film when Mosby pulls in the amount of air
it was
pressure.
like even the actors were like, yeah, no, I think we got it. But the actor, we always want to do another one, but it was like, no.
Yeah,
Well, I remember when we were getting ready to shoot this scene, it was written where it still took place in the garage, but there were a couple of extra steps where you guys left the car, and there was something with like body bags on the floor and all this other stuff. And I want to say it was the night before we shot the scene, and I came to Patrick and the producers and I said, you know, Mosby is such an intimidating character, and this is supposed to be the scene where Chase finds out that there is no escape, that he can't get out. What if we just lock him in the car and we show the locks of the car locking, and we just do the scene in the car and we don't get out, and he feels very trapped. And I honestly feel like that was one of the better calls I made when we were making the film, just because it did turn out a lot better. In my opinion, I think it was what was on the script.
It was actually helped by lack of money.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those happy accidents for sure.
If it had been up to me, we would have gone with the original version in the script, where this took place at a morgue, and Mosby had a deaf and blind assistant.
Oh,
here we go. Whose idea were the multiple car sentries? Now I see what Shane was getting at here. Fantastic ad.
I think that was our PD guy, right? I think he just thought it would be kind of fun to like.
Yeah, I believe so.
And make sense for what's about to happen.
Just because
how many air fresheners he had, because that's your first hint that this guy is going to carry some smelly things in his car.
Yeah.
Some body, perhaps.
That's a very sweaty camera operator in the backseat.
And I can't talk because I'm not on. God damn it.
No, you are, Caroline. You're here, Caroline.
We can hear you.
We can hear you, Caroline.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm acting pretty hard here.
Yeah.
I remember this was a scene that I felt like it was hard for me to direct you guys because I was so locked into just watching you guys work. And I really wanted to leave most of it in your hands for this scene. And I think it shows because as actors, you guys just annihilate this scene. It is so perfectly executed. The dread is there. The suspense is there. The intimidation is there. And it's all just with a little bit of
music. The music is such an enhancement. The music is perfect.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, it's really rare that you get to do a scene like this in a movie that has just like a full arc where you start at one place and you end in just like the complete opposite place, and it all plays out in real time. So I think Chris both felt that way.
How long is this? Was this like 7 minutes? Is this the longest scene in the movie?
Yeah, I think it's about 7 or 8 minutes long, something.
And Graham and I talked about that while we were editing too. We were like, "This is
how you
go on for a while."
It's so like recklessly, nonchalantly, like, yeah, this is just something I hold alive.
I'm curious from Chase and Chris's perspective, since this scene is long and it's my favorite scene in the movie. How did you guys feel about working together in this scene and what was going on between both of you there going into it? But
I loved it.
Me directing.
I loved it. It was effortless. It made me feel all powerful because whatever I mean, that had such an effect on him that it was like, damn, I am scary. Look at how scary I am. It was all over Chase's face.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just always so. It gives me like the actor tingles when you get to like work with someone that is just like so good that you've never worked with before, and you're just kind of thrown into a scene that's such high stakes, and you're both feeling it, and like, yeah, I don't know. It's really a special thing.
Especially in a scene that long, right, buddy? I mean, it's like, an 8-minute scene, and there was no hurrying. There was we were taking our time, and it works.
Yeah.
It actually works to have one scene take that much time and keep the audience. That's really hard to do.
And that was the goal too, was to kind of give it a in real time moment where we weren't cutting so much that you felt like you were speeding a scene along. We really wanted the audience to feel like you're in that car with them, and it's awkward and it's intense, and just let you guys go no matter how long it went. I love that scene.
This was well done too, that little montage. That freaking dream world that he's in now, this nightmare that he's experiencing.
And then most people wouldn't notice this, but for anybody who's watching, because I just saw this guy who says, "Hello from Japan." Well, if you happen to be a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, on the bottom left screen in the background of these two talking is New Japan Pro Wrestling on the television.
And then in the middle is, of course, Night of the Living Dead, which has to appear in every
perfect
movie, TV.
Yeah. Can you
because it's public domain now, huh?
Can you confirm this, Graham? Koji has a follow-up question.
Koji, hey, buddy.
I heard Chris and Graham became friends because Graham almost broke his leg on the set of The Last Rampage. Could you tell me a little more about that? That is true. That is a true story. I was a PA working on a movie called The Last Rampage, written by Alvaro Rodriguez. By the way, that's my mom right there talking to Evan. I just had to point that out. But we were working on this movie called Last Rampage. I was just a PA, so I'm on the bottom of the totem pole of production. But I was enamored with Chris's performance, and I just thought he was such a cool guy, and he was very kind to me. And when you're a PA, a lot of actors don't take the time to really give a shit about you, I've noticed over the years, because I did PA a lot in order to just make money on the side, which is kind of where the story of Jack Chase's character comes from in this. It's just somebody who wants to make movies, but they have to start at the bottom. That being said, we're on set, dark as hell. My leg. Did Caroline just
What?
Caroline just yawned so big. Hi, Caroline, you're back.
What happened?
I'm sorry. I keep everything. It's anyway. I'm not going to say anything.
You're fine.
That was my
I think I'm
favorite
going
part
to
of the
go
night
get
so
candy
far.
now.
All right, so real quick, just to finish this story. So my leg got caught in a hole on Last Rampage, and I fell, and I almost broke my leg, and Chris Browning came over to help me, and he went around to the entire casting crew and told them to fix all these holes so that people like me wouldn't nearly die on set. There's that story.
Yeah, and then we exchanged numbers and checked in with each other a few months later, and I'm like, what are you up to? And then he says, as a matter of fact, I've got this thing I'm doing and trying to get off the ground, this little movie. And I said, well, how's my part shaping up? And he said, well, now that you mention it, there is.
You came in at the right time, man, because we were 2 weeks away from shooting. I still didn't have a Mosby. Nobody felt right. And then when I spoke with you and sent you the script, I didn't hear from you for a week, up until a week before we started shooting. And I was terrified. I was like, oh, he probably fucking hated the script. And you called me. And at the time I was having a meeting with one of the producers. And I said, hey, Chris, I can't talk right now. Can I call you back in like 20 minutes when this guy leaves? And you said, oh, yeah, no problem. I'm at the beach with my family. I'm just calling you to let you know it's a great script and I'm going to do your movie. Saved my ass, saved the film. And I was so grateful that you came on board, man. You knocked it out of the park.
Thanks,
Bobby asks if this is everyone's favorite scene, the previous scene. What is there a least favorite scene?
Yeah, it's coming up. It stars a guy who looks a little bit like me. No,
actually, I really like this scene. This was one of the scenes I was most nervous about.
Yeah, the breakup.
Yeah.
You guys did such a good job. You handled it so well. It felt very realistic for both the characters in that moment. I think
that was painful.
Yeah, they handled it exactly like they should have.
Yeah. Evan did a really amazing job. This was Evan's first feature, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
And
third.
It should have been at least her third.
It was her third.
Okay.
Well, either way, I knew that she hadn't done a lot, but when she came on board and did this, I remember being on set with that scene with Chase, and I just couldn't have been happier in that moment that we had hired her, because she was just fucking phenomenal in that movie, in that scene.
Oh, Craig.
The paranoia begins on the set here.
This was like the first time I felt the pain of not having. Oh, sorry, Shane. What was that?
What are you saying, Shane? You guys look great here, and you're about to have a moment.
Okay, Craig looks like someone who David Lynch would cast. He reminds me of Twin Peaks and
Absolutely. Yeah, and then a shout out to Craig, who will show up a little later, but Craig has been in, there he is there, Quentin Tarantino movies like The Hateful Eight and Django Unchained. Craig is a real awesome dude, man. I love that guy. But yes, I agree with you, Shane. Definitely a David Lynch type actor, for sure, without question.
So they're about to call for a tail slate in this movie, and that's because in the actual shooting of Greenlight, none of us could remember to tail slate ever. whenever we call it the tail slate. And so this was like a recurring thing on the actual real set. And
That actually happens in so many movies, though.
yeah. And then the other one was we had a jumping the line joke that like we worked out with Shane and Victor, and it didn't make the final cut. That
It was so good though.
I know it was so. We actually, that was one of my favorite stupid movie jokes.
Now, people wouldn't know this probably from watching it unless they were looking for it, but all over the sleep experiment walls, we told our production designer to just go crazy with any kind of like sleep experiment type of wording that we could do, and we threw in a lot of references to things like the Beastie Boys. Like at one point in the film, it says "No sleep till Brooklyn" on the wall, and that spiral behind them is a reference to Dark City. I love that. And there's Kara, our actual sound gal on the.
I was gonna say this is one of the more meta of all of the scenes, just because like we didn't change the lighting from shooting Greenlight to shooting this scene, and like our actual full crew was in there too.
I love this scene coming up because we got to play with one of my favorite things in movies, which is jump cuts. I love jump cuts when they're used properly in here to illustrate the paranoia and the
Malik the shit out of this.
Shooting the scene with you guys. Oh
Another
man.
favorite scene that we
Yeah.
shot.
Are you guys outside now? Mine's off a little
Me
bit.
and Shane and Powell just doing a little dance.
Yeah, it was actually a very choreographed dance between the three of us.
This is where we are, Chris.
Huh?
But it was very like I got to sort of like find creative ways.
You guys
to
are outside, and he just came out. The AD just came out.
Oh, he's about to.
Oh, he's about to. Yeah.
Oh, I love
Creative
that.
ways to what, Chase? Sorry.
I don't know. It was like we were like following each other.
I hit pause,
Like, it was,
so
like
I'm
opening
lost.
your
I jumped it ahead or behind or something, so I don't know where we're at.
There we go. Now the AD is
like we didn't really like blocked that scene.
No.
Like,
No.
had a little dance. It was so cool.
We just rushed into it. I loved it because it was me and Powell going in circles around you guys while you both are kind of also moving around simultaneously, being paranoid.
Also, God bless the freaking overcast skies. We got one in California. Do you
Chain
ever?
link.
This would have looked so
The shot
bad.
with the chain link, so fucking great.
Okay, are we
It looks
doing
like
the
a
boom
prison
now?
movie
Is that
at
the
that
scene?
point.
We're about to be, Chris. We're not inside yet.
Okay.
Chris, this is where we are.
Powell jumped
Where?
over the fence in order to get that shot with me. That was
Did we really hop the fence? I forgot about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause it for a second. Show me.
pure luck that the sky was overcast, or was that intentional? Pure luck. That's something Powell has talked about a lot.
Yeah, we when we decided that scene had to be done outside.
Wait, go back, Patrick.
No, it was supposed to be inside, and then we went out and saw that it was overcast, and we were like, "We should just do it. It looks perfect. Let's just run on it right now."
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Did
It
it
was
like
really on the fly. That was so
15
fun.
minutes.
This is so great.
That was maybe the fastest.
This is
scene
my
we shot in the
favorite
whole
part.
movie.
One of my favorite parts of the movie. This is like my number 2 favorite part
No,
of the
this
movie.
is a big time blowout. Ref.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, this is definitely the biggest blatant blowout.
Yeah.
And
moment in the
Suspiria
movie.
ripoff too.
Completely. It was really important to me though, because Blowout is one of those movies that I just love so much, but I feel does not get the attention it deserves from people my age today. And I wanted to find a way to at least echo some of it in the film. And I don't know, Blowout I will always say did it better because that's De Palma and that's Blowout. But I really love how we were able to achieve a scene
Blowout's perfect
on the budget we had. It was fun.
Yeah. Every single colored gel we had was up in this scene. Every single light.
This was the Suspiria moment.
Yeah.
Right there. I'll be right
I'm
back.
so good at my props.
Hell yeah.
It's almost time for my big scene.
It's a question for
Oh, I
Patrick.
can't wait.
A ritual that helps you.
You
get
can't talk
into
about it online publicly, but yeah.
In that moment,
Uh,
we know that the AD guy is a kill. We know he's a kill now.
Can we talk about him?
Shadowing.
He's incredible. This guy. is amazing. He's like one of my favorite parts of the movie. It makes me laugh so hard. He's so pissed all the time.
But Patrick, do you have a ritual that helps you in your writing process?
A lot of it's about just, day to day, just kind of being comfortable. I'm on the internet way too much, and I get distracted way too easily. But having a hot drink and a good or bad
Sorry.
movie on is what good. Specifically for Greenlight, worked out, a pretty thin page-and-a-half outline, and then just kind of ran with it.
Wait, hey, you write with like a movie on?
I almost never write. Having a movie on. Nice.
Oh, talk about other dances. This was another one we had to pull off so fast. Do you remember how quick we shot this whole thing out? It was like we ran it like a stage play. We just blocked it, and like I followed you guys, had no real marks.
Yeah, I think the idea behind it was we realized Chase was going to be going from one area down a hallway into a room, and we realized that due to the amount of time we had to shoot that day and the amount of scenes we had to knock out, we were like, well, instead of taking all the time to do all these different setups, let's just get it all in one take and we can cut it up later.
Hey,
so eventually what you're seeing is a oneer. And there is Mr. Patrick Robert Young, the actor, doing a great job appearing in this.
Did your girlfriend coach you?
What's that?
Nah, dude, I had classes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's me and
Another role.
We had our producer really hated us saying the C word. So there was a version of that scene where we just said it like 30 times.
Oh, the old tickets in the fucking luggage thing.
Wow, you
Passenger.
busted.
Hey, Graham, who edited?
Any plans for a Blu-ray release? Oh man, we would all love a Blu-ray release. That Blu-ray release is up to the producers of the movie, as well as the Horror Collective, who is our distributor. So if you guys want a Blu-ray release, please feel free to harass them online and say, we want this. We need to see this because we want a physical release. We think Greenlight is definitely better than your average Asylum movie, and they get Blu-rays and DVDs. I feel like there's no reason Greenlight doesn't deserve to get its own physical release. So if you want it, go to @Horror Collective on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and tell them you want it.
Give us a reason to do the black and white noir colored version of it. Give us the freaking reason.
And then that's a good point, Powell. Powell and I have talked about this for a few years, and there is, to an extent, a cut that exists. It's not finished, but there's a cut that exists of a black and white noir version of Greenlight that we would love to release as the noir cut. But in order to do that, we need a physical release. Look at Shane and Chase are both like, what? That exists?
Yeah. We started coloring it last year in the pandemic.
It's something we want because I love noir films. And those are the movies that made me want to make movies, and I felt like Greenlight lit it. And
can Chase and I watch it?
Yeah.
I have to finish grading it, but yeah.
But that's something we would love to see come to fruition is the noir cut, because I think that Greenlight is the type of movie where if you watch that in really slick black and white, I feel like it might even make the movie a little bit better and more intense just because it does have a very noir feel to it.
Wow. This was the first day of anything we shot on Greenlight. This scene.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, the spit.
What was your experience like, Chase, after your first day of shooting? How did you feel about everything? You're like, I'm working on this.
That was my very first shot when I slapped the car. And I was like, cool, everyone seems cool. Jumping right in. I get to wear the sweatshirt. I have a little friendship bracelet. I think that was probably what was on my mind.
I love this scene. And just to bring up Chris Gore and Film Threat for a minute. Film Threat has shown us so much love and support for this movie, which means the world to me because I grew up on Film Threat magazine. It's one of the things that I read a lot that gave me my insight to filmmakers like Kevin Smith when I was young and an up-and-coming wannabe. That being said, Chris Gore put on a panel at WonderCon, if some of you guys remember, where they were going to show a clip of our movie, and that scene we just saw with Chase and Shane is the clip that we screened at WonderCon. So that was kind of my first introduction to getting to meet you, Chris. So thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for reminding me. I remember that. That was a super fun panel. That panel was really popular. Unfortunately, no conventions.
That was so great.
I love this scene.
Oh, yeah.
Chase, you're blocking when you turn to face her with like the backlight from the. It just felt so. It felt like everything Graham had referenced for the movie, for the look. So
this was our
This is another one that just like went to block, and then it just sort of like became this cool little dance that was like, using the reflection and stuff, and we just kind of figured that out so fast.
Yeah.
We were running and gunning. This was a scene that originally was shot in one take. I'm sure Chase remembers that because we did like 12 of these because we were trying to get the rhythm of racking focus and catching everybody at the right time to say their lines and stuff. And we finally got it, but then we wound up kind of cutting up the take in order to get it a little cleaner. But to me, this was like the most Lynchian scene that we have, since Shane brought up David Lynch earlier. I'm not in any way comparing myself to such a fucking master of film. But this was definitely intended to feel like a Lynch moment, which is the red backdrop, very kind of Twin Peaks thing going on there.
And it's great that in the movie,
Twin Peaks.
Oh, nice! I didn't even see that. That's great.
In the movie, the actors have their own dressing rooms, but in the actual shooting of Greenlight, we did not. We shared
it. That's movie magic for you.
This wasn't even a dressing room. This was like barely. I mean, like I think we used it. I don't remember how often we actually used individual dressing rooms because you guys came to set ready a lot of the time too. And like,
yeah,
I don't.
This is definitely my favorite moment that Nicole has in the movie, just because she really nails the femme fatale kind of vibe that I was going for with this scene. I love the nervous energy that Chase has in this moment, and it really is just Nicole's scene. I know she's in a lot of the film, but this is the thing I always think about when I watch her.
She just plays that doing low budget horror. I'm covered with blood as usual. Where's the blood person? It's just she's just over it.
And quick shout out to my friend Fiona Renee right there. Fiona just got one of the lead starring roles on the new I Know What You Did Last Summer TV series. So congratulations, Fiona. Glad to see her in our movie.
Oh, This one was a fun one to light. Actually, I remember Chris is like laid down on the couch, and I don't know when the decision was to never have him sit up, but I was like, this is the easiest day I'm gonna have on set. It's gonna be. We got a window next to him, and he's just gonna lay down, and I don't have to do anything harder.
He's very present in the
environment. Neil says he met David Lynch when working at Tribeca. Neil, I'm jealous of you, and I hope that it was a wonderful experience because David Lynch is the man.
David Lynch!
And the weather is 224 degrees Celsius. Sunny day, Los Angeles, California.
This next scene has a happy accident in it that I think all of us would like to claim was planned, but isn't. There's a perfect projection on Chase's face at the end, and it just worked out so well for the scene, but it was definitely an accident. It just it looks great.
Nice. You got a Twin Peaks mug. I love it. Got the log lady there.
I have more Twin Peaks memorabilia than this.
That could be Shane's body, right?
Yeah. I brought a special guest to watch the movie with us. Hi, David. How are you? How are you doing?
This is my best friend, and thinks that's my.
Yeah.
I mean, you've gone through. You do fluctuate wildly in weight from day to day.
Graham, where did you get that? Where did you get that bust?
This was made for me by an amazing sculptor named Carl Lyon. There are only two in existence. The one he made, and this one for me that he got me for Christmas one year. And I will always cherish it. And the cigarette in his mouth. This is like my favorite sculpture piece that I own. Just love David Lynch. I always look at it for inspiration to remind me that no matter what you're making in film, be weird. Be creative, dive deep, and don't ever feel that being strange is a bad thing.
Hey, there he is.
Hey, there's that fucking weirdo with the beard and the fatness. There he is. Hi.
Guys, on like the last day of shooting, Graham shaved his beard.
That's right.
Yeah. He was like, is this our director?
that was an intentional moment for me because I'd wanted to make Greenlight so badly and get it going, and there were so many non-starts to it for a few years that I promised myself, I'm going to grow my beard out until I get this movie made, and on the last day, I'll shave my beard. And that's why my beard got so long. It's because that's how long it took me to get the movie made. After I made it. Yeah.
Wow.
And here is an awesome thing that we shot. I love this montage. Caroline, you went crazy in this for me. And I was, there's Mike Mendez. There's director Mike Mendez, a big-ass spider. There's my dad. But Caroline, you went so crazy in this scene, and you did anything and everything I asked of you. There's Alvaro Rodriguez, writer of Machete and the From Dusk Till Dawn series on FX. And
that was Alvaro?
Yeah, that was Alvaro right there. Also the writer of Last Rampage, where I met Chris and nearly broke my leg. So it all comes full circle. Now, Caroline, this is one of my favorite moments in the film with you. Talk to me a little bit about how you felt.
You know what's funny, though? What's funny is Nicole told me every time at the very same moment when I would come down the stairs, she would start laughing. So when she was covering her mouth, she was actually laughing. And she did it every time. She just had the giggles in this scene. So funny. Boom.
We also casually pretended the crew has two cameras, but they totally don't for the scene.
Movies always do that.
Yeah.
Do another shout out to the composer. I mean, the music in this is amazing.
Yeah, Kevin Ripple. Shout out to Kevin Ripple for doing the music for our movie and killing it on such short notice. He did
a ton of music for a bunch of cool DC animated movies like Superman Man of Tomorrow, the Mortal Kombat animated movie.
He's also the composer of the game for Aliens, Colonial Marines, who did all the score.
Oh, nice. That was, man, I forgot how many shots we lit with iPhones in this movie, but that was like the fourth shot that we lit with an iPhone flashlight on the back of it that light on Chase's face.
I don't know if you guys noticed this, but every time Chase says cut, I'm upset.
Yeah.
He says cut, and I'm just like,
because Peter is much, much more experienced and professional than mine. I'm in over my head, but Sam has done this a million times.
This was the first scene Chase and I shot together. This was the first scene Chase and I shot. This was my first scene.
And we've known each other since I was 17, and I don't think we've acted in a scene together since we were like 18.
Yeah.
Until this day.
Really?
Whoa.
That's awesome.
We were in one day together in college my freshman year, and that was it.
And this was our second day on set, and the most insane scene in the movie as far as emotional pies other than you and Chris in the car. This was a big one for you guys, and we had to do this on the second day of shooting.
Fire the sound guy, the original.
That's right, that crazy sound guy, which we won't tell people what he said, but that guy was a horrible person, and we're glad he did not wind up shooting the rest of the movie with us. That was a crazy day. That guy had a temper for no reason.
Like you, Graham, that was amazing. Like you were like, fuck out.
What's that? Say again? What'd you say, Shane? Say again?
Yeah, you were just like at the when you realized what was going on, you just looked at him like, don't fuck with me.
Kicked him off my set, and I was like, go home. You don't talk to my actors like that. You don't talk to me like that. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. That was definitely a weird moment because it was only day 2. But hey, man, I had to protect you guys, and I had to protect my movie. So, you know. I love you guys in this scene. For anybody who cares, I was in the bathroom, which is right next to where they are, with the door shut, holding a video monitor, and I was yelling direction at them through the door, but the apartment was so small that I kind of just let them go, and we would course correct as we went. But I think you guys nailed this from take 1 all the way through till we finished the scene. You guys were just on a different playing field, and it was really special to see. This is where your real life friendship, to me, came really in handy because you guys were so comfortable around each other.
And it was clear to the crew too how intense that performance was. I remember we were way over time, and like my AC didn't want to break for like no one wanted to break for lunch to interrupt the scene.
Right.
We were all really in it, and the AD comes and he's like, "Do you guys want to take your lunch?" And we all just looked at it and we're like, "No, go get out. Let's finish this."
I love this. This was a shot that I really wanted in the movie where you guys are just looking down the barrel. But that was something that Powell and I talked about because no other scene in the movie had this. But I felt it was important that Chris is looking right down the barrel of the camera and you guys are looking down the barrel to establish this moment of confronting one another with the truth. And that's, hey, this guy knows, he's in on it. Don't play any fucking games. Let's finish this. And I do feel it kind of adds to it. I really love the whole first-person view of this scene.
Thanks for acting to some tape X's, guys. Appreciate it.
That's right. That was tape X.
How about we discuss our day, shall we?
That lighting flicker in that hallway, I grew to love it so much. We didn't do that. The lights in that hallway just sucked, and we never unplugged them because we just liked how grungy and shitty it looked.
Now, this was the first time while we were filming that I got to see Chris, Chase, and Shane in the same scene together, really having a moment. And I remember
the way he slapped him around.
I hit Shane pretty hard, harder than I expected to.
Poor Shane.
I thought I was just gonna, graze his hair, and I hit him in the head.
So everybody knows, Shane says his laptop died, but that he'll be back
soon. And then look at this. Look at what you do next.
Shane would have.
Oh yeah, look at me. Watch me jack him against the wall.
Yeah,
he was a trooper.
He loves it. He would.
I love that Oklahoma yellow. Powell.
Yeah, there it is. The Oklahoma yellow making a comeback.
Yeah, Shane was a trooper in this scene. He let hits in the back of the head many times, many takes.
Also, we faked that whole blocking, if you remember, because the hallway was so tiny. There's only one door that Shane and Chase had to stand on the same side of the hall for both of their close-ups and act in opposite directions so we could cut it back
that's right.
between the two.
I forgot about that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this scene, for some reason, anytime I see this scene the way it's lit, I always think of Dimension films. I always think of 1990s films like Scream when I see this scene, just because of the lighting of it. What is it that's different about the lighting on this scene, Powell, and the rest of the movie?
I think it was a bit of, we had been pretty, I think, overall natural and not necessarily low-key with it, but it's so punchy and from, such classic directions. There's such a strong key light and a very strong backlight that it is very much like when you had to expose film, actual film a long time ago, you had to sometimes, light a little, overlight a little bit or be a little punchier, and it translates, I think, kind of the same way. Translates here. We also never used a clean white light like I think maybe 4 other times in the movie. Like it's almost all color gels or orange or dark, and so I think some of the sterileness of it definitely ties back to that time as
Open it
well.
up a little. Now, Caroline, in this scene, there's a moment that I really love that we kept, and it's where I don't know if it was intentional. I want to believe it was intentional because you're just a great actress. But either way, if it wasn't intentional, you recovered.
No, I forgot my line.
Exactly.
What happened? I
Love the
forgot my
line,
freaking
but
line.
it feels so organic in that
Yeah.
moment that we kept it.
Oh, I loved this. Was another favorite of mine to get
This
to
is
shoot.
the
I love this scene.
sweetest scene.
Oh,
I do too, because he is so pure and sweet.
I remember being really stressed out when we shot this scene because I was loving what they were doing, but I had just got a phone call that my mom took like a really bad fall right before we shot this. So I was like all over the place mentally. But I think Chase and Victor really knocked us out of the park. Can you talk to me a little bit, Chase, about this scene? Because it really is a part where your character kind of just levels the playing field and just kind of has a human moment with this guy. What did you go into this scene thinking about as an actor?
I mean, at this point, I hadn't really had a lot of interaction with him. I had sort of written him off in the beginning because he says it's his first film. So I'm like, thinking about myself and just like how that's not in for me. So this is for me, my character's not really like considered him as like a human until he's like presented with the possibility that he may have to kill him. So it's like days of him kind of like imagining what this guy could be like, trying to justify this thing, and then I go in and he, just the way he played it, I mean, amplified it so much, where he's just so pure and just has like the kindest eyes.
He does have very kind eyes. That man, as big and buff as he is and intimidating as he looks, that dude is a teddy bear and a half when you're in front of him.
So I knew like the
Javier Bardem.
the scene was gonna have to go from like, me going in wanting this to be easy, and it turns out not to be easy, but he really made it not very easy at all. It was so sweet. And it just made me real sad.
Oh, here it is. This is the scene I was telling you about, Chris. This was when we discussed Anthony Hopkins. It was your opening to that scene right here. You staring off at the top of it.
I hope you burn in hell for what's about to happen. That's a rad line. I love your delivery on that.
Thank you. I say it to people all the time.
Good. You say it when you order your Starbucks.
Yeah.
This is the only moment that Chris Browning has in this whole movie where there's even a suggestion of vulnerability.
Yes. And that was important. Chris and I talked about that when we were making this. I went up to him and I said, this is the one moment where we see Mosby kind of at a disadvantage mentally and in his heart, because we know that there's now motivation being presented to the audience of why he's doing what he's doing to Jack. And you build it all up to find out that he just has a broken heart because he trusted his wife and now he wants revenge.
He just got his feelings hurt. He has a little hurt feelings. Yeah. I mean, it's better than, you don't want to just twist your mustache through the whole movie, It was the only chance I had to be human.
Yeah, and it was worth waiting for it, though. It really hit harder that way.
Here is the craziest day out of shooting this entire movie. This was the most insane day of our shoot.
We had like 20 minutes left.
Yeah,
in our shoot day.
I'm going to apologize to my entire cast, even though I already apologized in the past. I'm so sorry that we put you through all of this. This was an insane day where we did this scene. And how many pages was this, Patrick, that you remember? This was a lot of pages.
It's like
Good
8.
bit.
It was it was between 8 and 12. I don't remember where it landed, but yeah, between 8 and 12.
So between 8 and 12, and we have to get coverage on Mosby and Jack and I won't spoil anything, but other characters
No, Jack was a pro. He figured out how to get out of his coverage.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that we had people who went home. We had people who started going home, so we had to give Patrick the script, and Patrick was reading Jack's part. I was reading for Victor. Like there were so many things happening in order to get all of this. Because you got to get your close-ups, you got to get your master, you got to get everything. It was a lot. To
Okay, it's not an important scene.
No,
I love that.
It is so much coverage. Looking back on it, like we didn't just get closes and a wide. We got mediums on everybody,
Boom.
closes on everybody, 2 different
I love that
wides.
part.
Like so much coverage.
Yeah.
I totally forgot.
But Chase was like, why don't you just knock me to the ground so I could fall out of the movie?
I love it.
I'll be sitting over there.
I was tired.
I'm so happy we did this scene the way we did it, though, just bathed in red gels. It really just adds. I mean, obviously, we've
I
been
so
talking about
love
it a lot.
getting the gun. I love having the gun.
We talked a lot about how we made
And
this
that's
movie
lunch for Chase.
Caroline,
That's my
you
favorite
just watch
story,
it.
You're taking my wife. You're fucking lying to me, you piece of shit. His wife.
My poor focus puller with all this red light. Sorry.
The red light hides it. and it looks
Backyard
good.
barbecue.
Oh no, he absolutely actually. There's not a soft frame in this scene, but it's so hard to pull on red
This is
light.
my favorite part. Every take of this was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It got me so hyped. I am obsessed with this. I want a reel of every take they did.
Graham,
Yeah.
Graham, I want this clip. Want
Me too.
I
We
want
can,
this.
Chase. Yes, we can get you both this clip. And I know that Powell and I,
This was
my favorite line.
Powell and I had a lot of
Here she
laughs in the
comes.
editing room because there is that moment where you said
Boom.
backyard barbecue, whatever you said, and
Dog
Powell
patch.
and I laughed so
We're not
hard.
making one of your low rent, good for nothing backyard barbecue.
Barbecue dog patch fucking movie.
Bad,
Do we have that? Do you have that?
Yes, that's
Do
what
you
I'm
have
saying.
that audio? Do we still have
Powell
that?
has that on his
Somewhere
computer.
buried on a hard drive.
Dude.
Yeah, I've got it.
Yeah.
I love that
Features,
shot, you guys.
features,
Chase,
baby.
you and Shane together there, standing, just like looking in complete disbelief at like the entire room is one of my. I love that shot so much. It's just, what the fuck is actually happening?
It is a lot. Yeah.
Also, him using iPhone movies as an insult, and then Powell and I go and make an iPhone movie.
That's true. He did go make an iPhone movie. Coming out on Arrow Video Blu-ray. Check out Threshold, written and directed by Powell and Patrick right here. Awesome shit.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, well,
Chase
back
was too
then, iPhones weren't what they are today.
That's very fair.
Yeah, because this was 4 years ago.
I love
Yeah.
the way the women sew
Which was
up.
eons
It sews
ago.
up. We move
But
on.
still, Chris,
It's
I'll
not
give
jaw,
you
jaw,
credit.
jaw, 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 jaw.
Chris, this was one of the best improv lines I've ever heard in my life when you said the thing about the iPhone.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the script.
No.
No.
Came up with that. That was amazing.
Thanks.
Also love Chase's hair increasingly getting more electrocuted as the scene goes on.
iPhone directors out there. and how they
The
get
result
back.
of my
It's just like
Okay, hedgehog.
His hair is as distressed as he is.
Eraser head.
it's,
Shane, in this scene, you genuinely transcend feeling fucked up. And just like you look so real in this moment. I love
Shane,
your
I can attest Shane was living it.
oh,
He really was. We're not even.
Because I know that at the time we were shooting the movie, there was definitely tensions running high because it's a low budget movie. Everybody's tired, going over time. There was so much. But I do appreciate
that. He just chose to really just live in that.
Yeah.
For that day.
Well, I appreciate that you did. It brought more to the movie, so I thank you guys for sticking it out with me to the end because it really.
And then we
sense.
shot this 10 feet behind us here, literally 10 feet from the finale scene. If you just turned around on the stage, we set up a projection screen and shot this whole ending in the same exact set.
Yeah, with the same red curtains we used for the makeup room.
Yeah.
How long was the ending? What it was?
15 or 16 days, pal.
But wasn't the twist at the end some late inning edition?
Oh, yeah. So there was an ending that Patrick had written, and then the script got rewritten, and then we got worried about the rewritten ending, and so like the night before, I think we changed the ending again.
The night before.
Yeah. And it was like you guys got handed like 10 pages, and you're like, okay, here's your 10 pages for tomorrow. Let's fucking do it.
Dude, I remember being chewed out for that, but I don't give a shit because I feel like it really did help the movie. Yeah. I remember reading the script and you, me, and Patrick and Rudy staying overnight at the studio trying to figure out what we were going to do because the ending just didn't feel... It felt too Scooby-Doo at some point. There was just so much exposition.
Yeah, Graham, when you didn't let down from the producer we must not speak about, that was sick. That was sick.
Yeah.
What was the question that just popped up, Chris? Can you put that back on screen? Hi, Chris. You said on Instagram, Argentinian director who saw the trailer of Greenlight contacted you for a feature film.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. By the way.
He reached out to my guys and they said this guy Damian Cifran wants to speak to you, and so I did a FaceTime call with him, and he's in Argentina, and he's talking about this big feature that he's directing, and he wanted me. It's about a mass shooter thing, and he said you'd be perfect for my for the guy that they're chasing through the whole movie, right? It's a huge role, and we spoke for a year about it, and because then COVID happened, and I was writing scenes and sending him like 3 pages and going, is this how you think he would talk? And he's like, oh, this is great. Can I have some of this? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And it got down to 3 guys. One of them was John Bernthal, and another guy who I can't think of his name that played Ricky Gervais' friend in his obnoxious friend from another office on the British Office.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? He's like an obnoxious drunk who's misogynistic and an asshole. Yeah. That guy's the one who ended up getting the part, but I got to be really good friends with him, and it's a huge movie. It's filming right now in Montreal.
And you never know where that connection is going to lead you down the road. I'm proud that guy saw the trailer, saw you, and reached out to you, because honestly, even though we made this movie for very little and we had hiccups along the way and COVID and everything else, I really am proud of all of you guys, and I really am proud of this movie. So I hope that in the future, regardless of what this movie has done for us right now, I do hope and believe that at some point people will come back to this movie more and more. And I hope that Chase and Patrick, and Caroline and Shane, and Chris, Powell and me and everybody else involved will get some more work off of it, because I really do think that for what we had, we made a pretty fucking rad little movie. I really do.
Well, hopefully it'll be a cult classic.
Yeah,
Graham.
I watched it 2 nights in a row. I've watched it 2 nights in a row. And I don't sit well with movies. If it doesn't grab me at the first 5 minutes, I'm not doing it. But I got to tell you, the act, to me, it's very like a European film. There's a natural quality to it, an ease. It's like you're you're in the room spying on everybody. Every performance is absolutely organic and real. And there's not an element of the movie that isn't top flight. I'm so proud of it.
Oh,
I'm so proud of it. And
we're proud of you.
I'm very proud for your direction. You took the time with me and everybody else. And I've lucked into the best fucking directors the last couple of years. I'm just over the moon. Over the moon.
Thank you, Caroline. I really appreciate that. I'm grateful for all of you. And I know there's a question for Chase here, but before you answer it, before Chase answers this question, I just want to say that for me, and I've told Chase this story when we were getting ready to cast the movie. I met Chase Williamson at a signing for John Dies at the End at Dark Delicacies in Burbank. And I went out, we had a cigarette together, and we just talked, and I told you how much I loved your performance and all this stuff. And then cut to like 5 or 6 years later, that's when I finally talked to you, and you came over to my house after you'd gotten the role, and we're talking, and I told you that story. And you were like, "Holy shit, you were that guy that was smoking outside."
I totally remembered you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it made me feel so good to have you and have Caroline and have Chris and have Shane and have Victor and Nicole. Everybody in this movie, for the movie that it was what I needed it to be. And Chase, I shit you not, man, you were my first choice. Before this script was even written, I had always wanted you in this role. So to know that you came on board and that you trusted me, you trusted our budget, and you trusted what we had in front of us, it will forever mean the world to me that you did this movie, because I really think you brought it. And Caroline, I obviously grew up as a huge fan of Texas Chainsaw 2. So to have you come on board and indulge me in my nerdiness and my filmmaking stuff, it just, everybody in this cast means the world to me. So I just want to say one last time, thank you guys so much for even being a part of this movie. It means the world.
God, thank you for saying all that. Jesus. I mean, it was
well said, brother.
Such a pleasure to work with you. And I mean, you just knew it backwards and forwards, and your enthusiasm was infectious, and the team you pulled together. I mean, Powell is my favorite DP I've ever worked with.
Right? Powell's the shit.
Wow. I've gotten to work with him again
for anything, because he's the man.
We love Powell.
I'm gonna get all flushed red, but
Powell ever again. I mean, like,
and Chris
and Caroline and Chris,
Ford
and then getting to work with.
Thank you so much for getting us back in front of an audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
And I just have to say, like, it's amazing that you know, you had a budget of $50,000 and this is what you did with it. You know, as actors, we take roles a lot, like because we care about the script and everything, but we don't necessarily know how it's going to turn out. I had no idea until I went to Screamfest and like saw it and was just like, this is incredible. I can't believe they pulled this off with $50,000.
Well, I remember the first time you and Chase came to my house to watch a very, very early rough cut, because you guys hadn't seen it yet and I wanted to share it with you. And I was terrified because I was like, oh, they're going to see it without sound and color correction and all this.
Right.
But I remember you both were so enthusiastic by the end of that. Excuse me, hiccups, whiskey Coke. I remember you guys were so enthusiastic after you saw that first rough cut, because it was like the first time you kind of realized, like, oh shit, they actually did kind of do something.
I mean, it was really exciting. I mean, it already felt like it was a real movie in the rough cut, and a lot of stuff I've done never felt like a real movie.
Never got there.
You know?
Especially because, like, for anyone watching, like, I only shot 5 days on this film, so I had no idea how it would turn out. My scenes, we knocked those out in 5 days, and I was gone. And then, like, so seeing the finished product is always, it can be scary, but like when you see something like as good as this, of what you did with $50,000, and you know, just the drive you had, it's really beautiful and it's inspiring.
I'm honored that you guys gave me the trust, because one of the things Chris Browning said to me when I was first talking to him about potentially coming on, I had obviously never directed a movie before. It was my first thing. And I looked at Chris as a real actor, since the only interaction I'd had with him prior with me being the PA and him being the star of the movie he was on. And then a year later, we're talking about this potential of him coming on board my thing. And I said I could send you the script, but it's really low budget, so you probably aren't going to want to do it. And I was digging myself a hole before I even sent it to him.
Yeah.
And the first thing Chris said to me that I'll never forget, he goes, "Hey man, I didn't get in this business to make money. I got in this movie to tell good stories." And when he said that, it reaffirmed for me that there really are great actors out there who genuinely care about the script and care about the story, and it's not just about money, because unfortunately you do meet a good amount of actors who are like, well, how much am I getting paid and what am I making this day, and that's fine. I respect that, and I need and actors need that. They're trying to make a living too. But for a movie like this at this budget level, I can't even begin to express the amount of love and respect that I have for you guys for taking a chance on this movie, because anybody could have heard $50,000 movie about making a movie. This can't be done. You can't do that. And you guys trusted me. You trusted Powell. You trusted Patrick's script. You trusted each other. And I really think that it turned into something pretty fucking rad. So I'm just very grateful for that. I'll never not be.
But
Yeah, no,
tell
yeah.
great stories.
That's just what actors who don't make any money say.
That's true.
But it is.
That's just a broke actor thing to
To
say.
have something choice
Single person
to play, something extremely
just,
well
like,
written.
Yeah, Graham, you cast a bunch of broke actors. Like,
It's true. It's what I needed, man. I needed people who were not afraid to get their hands use that term, because when I first cast Caroline for the role, I will never forget her telling me, "I'll do whatever you need me to do. You need me to do this. You need me to do that. You need me to get covered in blood. I don't give a fuck. I want to do this." And I knew that she was down to jump in and just do whatever was needed for the role. And Chase did the same. Chris did the same. Shane did the same. You guys all trusted us. And I think it really comes through the screen when you watch a movie like this. And I know that sounds cliche, but it really is true. For a movie at this budget level, I feel you don't get movies of this quality, very often. So that's
this is like, I feel like out of all the projects I've done, the one I've come away with like the greatest amount of individual people I want to keep collaborating.
Yeah.
Like usually there's like, one person that you're like, yeah, this gelled really well, but like everyone on this call, like I can't imagine like not having met you or worked with you, because I just see like a future where we're working together. So
I do too, buddy. I want to cast you guys in whatever I do in the future and find ways to continue to collaborate. I'm no Scorsese, but if Scorsese can have a DiCaprio or a De Niro all the time, then there's no reason I can't have a Chase, a Shane, a Caroline, a Chris. I think you just have to find the right roles. But I definitely agree. I see us all working together for a very long time in the future.
Well, yeah.
And
Patrick was like, "Nah, not for me," and Patrick just left.
Well, hopefully,
really leave.
I'm just dying. I'm just fucking ready.
What were you saying, Chris? Mr. Chris Gore, you were speaking. What were you saying, sir?
Well, I was just going to say, I want to thank everybody for just, spending the time tonight to kind of represent the movie to a new audience that can discover it through our watch party. And then I'm excited that
thank you.
I'm hoping you'll be able to attend our Award This event on April 10th, and then everyone can see Award This on April 18th. You'll be able to watch it in our virtual event. So I just want to thank everybody for participating.
How I got started acting?
Oh, so sorry, Chase. I'm so
happened
sorry.
was-
That guy had the question for you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure I clear it up for everyone once and for all. I started acting in 2010 in the film John Dies at the End.
Unreal. Unreal.
That's not true. Not true.
I went to theater school.
He started acting way before that.
I went to theater.
This guy was the star in
Wait, that was your first gig?
At every high school play, this guy was the star of.
Well, I did a lot of high school theater. I was that kid. And then Shane and I went to USC drama school together. And then I got a little agent or whatnot from a showcase we did at school. And then I booked that that movie John Dies at the End just a couple weeks later.
I'll never
Which was
forget
wild.
being on set of Greenlight with you the first time you told me that, because I think I asked the same question, and I said, what was
Nah,
your-
someone
like,
said no way that's his first role.
There you go. And you said, John Dies at the End. And I thought,
John Dies at the End was his first movie, yeah.
movie was directed by Don Coscarelli, and you're starring opposite Paul Giamatti. Like, fuck.
Yeah, my first 3
Yeah.
days of my first 3 days of my first professional acting job were just me and Paul across a table. And I also think that Paul was the first adult that I'd ever acted with that wasn't someone my own age pretending to be an adult in a play.
Oh, by the
it
way,
was like, dude, the DP, that was like before he blew up. So you got to catch Mike Giolakis like way early on.
I love Mike Giolakis. I like more Powell. I really do.
Aww.
real quick before we go back to Chris Gore, I just want to say to Chase, Powell and I were at a cafe one day, and Clancy Brown was there at a table across from us. Yeah, and I know you love Clancy.
I love Clancy.
And I saw him, and I didn't want to bother him during his lunch, but when he got up at the end, I flagged him over for a second, and I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown. I want to say, not only am I a fan of yours, but I just want you to know that I made a movie with Chase Williamson, and he loves you, and I love you. And he goes, oh my God, I love Chase. Chase is such an amazing actor, and he just gushed about you, man. So
yeah, he did. I reached out to him too because we worked on 310 to Yuma together, and
shit, there you go.
And it was like, oh, I love Chase, and I think we even had a little group text going for a minute.
Yeah.
We were trying to do something. We were trying to put a project together or something.
Maybe that's the next thing we figure out. Chase Williamson, Chris Browning, and Clancy Brown. That's
Chase said he'll do it. Clancy will do it. Yeah.
Clancy so down.
I see the poster. Brown. It's going to be great. But okay, back to hand it over to Chris Gore. How are you, sir? Hello, and thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for doing this, and hope to see you at the awards on April 10th, and then everyone can watch it on the 18th. I think we got to wrap it up. So final thoughts from everybody. Let's go around the horn and final thoughts. Graham, why don't you call on who you think,
has a thought?
You're the director. Direct ending of this watch party. So,
man, pressure. Okay. How do we wrap this up? Final thoughts? Well, I guess
we could stroke each other some more.
I guess that's what we're gonna do. This is different than a watch party. This is
another beer.
A jerk party. Don't cancel me for doing that on a thing. I've obviously expressed my love and affection for this entire cast and crew, and how much I respect all of you guys. I guess my question to end things on would be, now that you've made this movie, and now that you've seen the respect it has gotten from those who have seen it, how you guys feel ultimately about the film now that it's out, and where maybe you hope it goes in the future. I mean, I know this is kind of putting me on the spot, so I apologize if we've kind of covered this ground already throughout the commentary, but how does everybody feel about Greenlight as a whole now that they've worked on it, seen it come out, and we're now at this point where we're able to kind of just celebrate the film?
I didn't really like it.
I love you, dude.
I'm glad somebody said it. Somebody had to say it.
I'm thrilled. And I'm especially thrilled that Film Threat let us do this so that people can actually see it this time. Because, the last time it was totally fucked up. And now, it's just, this is justice to me. This is film justice. So how often do you get a second shot, right? And I'm thrilled.
Well, I'm glad you're thrilled. I'm thrilled that you were part of this movie and showed it as much care as you did. How about you, Chase? You're the star of this picture along with Chris and everybody else. But You and I. You played me essentially in this weird movie. I remember you coming over to my house and saying, so, and not to sound cliche, but it was like, what's my motivation? Like, what am I pulling from? And I said, well,
not ask you what my motivation.
Yeah,
I know. I didn't know how to like repeat.
Never said that to anyone.
I didn't know how to repeat exactly what you said, but I remember we talked about the character, and you said something along the lines of like, "What am I pulling from?" And I did tell you at the time, well, you're kind of me in a way, so just shadow me and watch me take any of my mannerisms or my uncomfortable nature in talking and stuff. And you flew to the moon with it, where it no longer became you playing me or an extension of me. It was you really creating a beautiful character out of all of that. And so I'm just curious, like, your takeaway from this.
You went another way, didn't you?
Said that these are people you want to work with again in the future, but how do you feel about this compared to all the other work that you've done? Because you've done some really big movies and you've done some really wonderful work over the years. Where does Greenlight fall for you as far as how you feel about as an actor and your ability to be able to freely work?
Oh man, well, I'm just so happy to be a part of it, and just so grateful for the opportunity to. I mean, as high stakes and crazy thriller as it is, like the stakes are certainly more human than I was used to working with in films I had done in the past. So it was just a really good, and to work again with this team is just really special. And like Powell said, it's like a time capsule now, and it just reminds me of where I was at then. And I remember, you know, like all the discoveries we made, like me and Chris working together and finding like that whole dynamic, and like working with Powell and just like the chemistry we had with each other. And Graham, just like, you're just like the most giving filmmaker like I've ever worked with. You just give and give and give and give, and you have such a huge heart. And to work with my BFF Shane, and to be able to work with Patrick, a fellow USC alum, who I just like love and can't get enough of. I don't know. I look at it as a really great chapter in my. You see his mug. He's a professional writer.
Well, I love hearing you say that, man. It means a lot, because I felt writing, screen, and television. I want to actually ask Patrick a question before I do. I just want to say one last time, Chase, like getting you for this movie, I felt like I won the lottery. So thank you again for being part of it. I really did.
That's really sweet, Graham. Thank you.
Patrick, how do you feel now that you've gone from just talking about this movie with me for a while, us having a couple of non-starts, trying to get the script right, and now we're at a point where movie's done, it's out. How do you look back on Greenlight as far as where you're at now and what it's made you feel?
I'm very proud of it.
Good.
Like I said, the cast we were able to put together, certainly patched up. Like in my opinion, it's not my strongest script. And the talent of everybody in the crew patched over a lot of things and made something really killer. I never have a bad time watching it. I'm never ashamed to show it, and I think it's been really fun to push it out there into more and more people's eyeballs.
Fuck yeah, man! I love that. Mr. Powell, how about you?
Because
sir?
nothing feels as bad as being in a shitty movie. It's like running away from a burning outhouse.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. I think that's the toughest thing is like anything you make, looking back on it, 5 or 6 years from when you did it is always going to be, you've grown a lot, you've changed your process, your method, and like, there's so many things on display where like, every single frame of the movie, I can remember how we did it and like how I probably would have done it differently now. But I think getting to watch it with this much distance and trying to watch it in a objective, not having worked on it kind of mindset, it's really fun to watch and cool to know that we were all a part of it. But I don't know. I think it's like Chase said, it's like a very, very distinct bookmark in like a certain chapter of our filmmaking careers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's too, and I've said this to both Pal and Graham. It's pretty cool for this to be our first movie together and be so proud of it, because we want this to be the worst movie we ever make together.
Yeah,
there it is. That's a fucking great way to put it, buddy. Agreed. Mr. Shane Coffey, how do you feel now that you've seen Greenlight come about? Obviously, we were talking about it a little bit earlier, but you came on board this thing at the last minute. You knocked it out of the park with one of your best friends, and that you got to work with. Which news to me that you hadn't worked together since you were 18, so that's fucking cool. But how do you feel about Greenlight now that you've been able to see it come full circle?
I mean, again, like, just to say, I only shot 5 days on this thing, and it was a true indie, like true in the sense of we were all just having to trust each other, like come up and, it's not care about money and sort of just like trust this process. And I don't know, I really just want to say I can reiterate how, like, yeah, when I first saw the movie, it was like I fucking so fucking impressed by what you guys did with that amount of money. I mean, I just shot a short for $50,000, and it's incredible that you guys created this thing with that budget. And just, Graham, you were always so just loving towards your actors and your crew and everything, and truly believed in your vision. And I mean, that's all we can ask for as actors. Like, if the director is always has confidence in what they're doing, and believes in everyone, and sort of is the captain of the ship, which you're a great captain, and I hope you do more. Seriously.
Hey, buddy, that means a lot to hear, Shane, because it was my first movie. I was nervous as hell. I was nervous.
Yeah, and it's your first movie. First movie. That's
not only
this is your Greenlight is your first movie. That's incredible. Like, that's your first feature film, Greenlight. Like, that's amazing. Like, this has potential to be like a cult classic. Like, that's incredible. And like, you saw John Dies at the End with Chase. John Dies at the End is a cult classic, and you got him. I don't know. It's just it's a really beautiful thing that you did, and your personality is a very loving, caring one that that's important in art today. I think it's punk, to be honest.
That means more to me than what you just said. So thank you for that. I obviously couldn't have done any of this without any of you. But like I said, I was so nervous because when I got Chase, all I could think about was like, oh God, Graham, please don't fuck this up, because Chase has worked under.
I love it because like I'm like a great friend of Chase, so it's like, yeah, it's so funny to hear that someone was mildly intimidated by him.
Sure, I was intimidated by everybody, and I'm sure it showed, because there were days where I didn't feel like, even though I knew what I was doing, I didn't know what I was doing at sometimes, because it was my first time, and I was like, did I talk to my actor right? Did I direct this scene okay? Did I communicate that to my VP okay? Are the producers going to be mad that I did this instead of this, or whatever it was? I was a nervous wreck making it, but all encompassing, still stuck to what I felt I needed to do. And I couldn't have done that without you guys allowing me the opportunity to misstep or not perfectly execute my job at times, because I really did try hard to do well, but I was nervous as hell the whole time. I wanted Chase to be comfortable. I wanted Chris to be comfortable. I remember walking up to Chris at one point outside, and him and I go have a cigarette, and I said, hey, Chris, just out of curiosity, like, how do you like being directed? Which I never thought I would ask an actor, but I figured that was a good question for somebody who's had experience on 3:10 to Yuma and all these bigger movies. I wanted to know that I wasn't overstepping my bounds, because I think both Chase and you called me out at one point when we were making the movie about line reading, because I didn't know that was an issue. You know, with actors, I didn't know that was a thing where line reading is kind of the
wow. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's right.
See, and I haven't, because I was that nervous.
Yeah,
But,
like if you did that to Pacino, he would kill you.
It's so hard not to do that when you know what you want. I mean, you have to know what you want. So, I mean,
exactly, and that's kind of where I was coming from. I saw the script and the delivery of lines a certain way, and because before I had become a director, I spent a lot of time acting. Like, I had acted in a lot of movies, and I've always been an open book, if you will, when it comes to creativity. Like, I love bouncing off other people and taking suggestion, but I learned a lot about directing and how actors like to be directed by doing it. Because when I pulled Chris aside, he told me something I'll never forget. He goes, well, you know, before I did 3:10 to Yuma, I thought I loved it when directors just told me everything they wanted me to do, because that's what I did. But after 3:10 to Yuma, I realized that I was more comfortable as an actor when a director would allow me to do what I bring to the table and then course correct me. If a director tells me what to do from the moment he starts, he might lose the details of what I might be bringing to the picture. And when he said that, that just stuck with me, because that's so true. And from that moment forward, I stopped doing as much. I don't want to call it stage direction, but I when we were doing rehearsals and blocking, I stopped blocking as much as I would have originally, because I just wanted to see what you guys would have done first before I told you what I wanted, because I wanted whatever you guys were bringing to the table to be brought out organically.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the thing, the kind of the point that I was trying to make, is you don't know what the gift is if you nix it beforehand. My takeaway, the reason I mentioned 3:10 to Yuma, it was like the first time I was ever on a real film set with a bunch of like stars and, you know, well-known director and all, and with Jim Mangold, and what I was expecting it to be and what it was completely different. Like I left there after the first day going, the director doesn't do shit. Like he lets him, because he has Russell Crowe, he has Christian Bale. They do Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. Once in a while, he'll throw a little suggestion in or something, but he's not telling those guys how to act, you know. And he's doing it all in prep, and he's working more with his DP, and, you know, coming up with what he wants. But I rarely saw him say, "And I want you to play this. I want you to focus on," you know. It's just not necessary and I was like, that's what I got to learn to do, is come there with a game plan, come with some choices in mind, so I can, you know, show up. I was always picturing it being different. Like the director was going to, before you did anything, the director was going to say, okay, in this moment, I want you to play it like this, and I want you to do this. And, you know, I was expecting to be directed. And then I've found that most of the good directors just get out of the way.
That's awesome. And it was great advice, because it really did help me become more comfortable with you guys as actors as I went along. And it was a stressful shoot for everybody. Everybody was working for basically no money. Everybody was working overtime, and everybody's working with this first-time director, not really knowing where it's going to go or how it's going to land. So I could easily see why you know, that was a tough shoot for anyone. So the more information I got about how to make you guys comfortable was only helpful to me and everyone else that involved. That being said, Caroline Williams, I want to ask you before we go, and I want to get to Patrick next, and then we can wrap this up. Now that you've seen Greenlight and you've worked on it, and you and I obviously had a very personal phone call that lasted about an hour when I first cast you in the film. How do you feel now coming full circle and seeing this movie come to fruition the way that it has? And what from script to screen, how do you feel about the movie and your experience working on it?
It's definitely redefined the choices I make, the roles that I want to play. I'm no longer shy about turning things down that I know are substandard, or a director who appear. I like it when a director and writer are immediately available to me. I need to have time with the writer. I need to have time with the director. I'm one of those people, and especially Graham, you know how dramatically my life was changing the very week we began shooting on this. I had ended my marriage. I was moving out of my house, and cameras rolled all at the same time. And my life was beginning completely over again. I had no fucking idea who I was, where I was going, or what I was doing. And you and I had this hour-long conversation about how my life and Nancy's life were dovetailing a little bit, you know? And it's been the beginning of the last it was the beginning of these last 4 years. You know, it brought me to 10 Minutes to Midnight. Chase Williamson brought me to Julia Max, Pieces of Me, a fantastic fucking short that's killing it, pardon the pun, on the festival circuit. I got to work with Powell Robinson again. I hope to work with Chris Browning again. It was just that whole movie. All of Greenlight was goals for me. All of Greenlight was goals. I wanted to bring authenticity. I wanted Patrick's script to come alive in my mouth. It's been a dream come true. Truly, it's been the beginning of a dream come true. My whole life has continued to unfold, beginning with this. It's just unbelievable.
Really special. That's really special. And I know that you and I have talked about this, so obviously I know you won't take any offense. But, you know, in the world of horror movies, some actors get a little pigeonholed. And you were one of those actors that I saw, and I knew you had more to offer. I knew that you had incredible within yourself.
Hell yes.
And I didn't want people to just go, oh, Caroline Williams.
Age. And the fact is, you didn't let my age stand in the way.
Yes. And you were at a point in your life where I knew that whether it was through your body, through your voice, through your expressions, that you had something to say, something to get out. And I could tell that you weren't just some, as they say, scream queen, you know, making horror movies, that you're a genuine actor, and you just needed an opportunity to be in something that could showcase you in a way that didn't just have to do with, you know, blood and violence. And obviously that's part of our movie, but overall, putting you in a role in Greenlight was very important to me, because I do think you deserve to be seen as something more than just, you know, horror movies. And you even told me yourself when you got the role that was important to you, because that's how you related to Nancy, because Nancy's character in the film Greenlight, she's married to a B producer.
Completely.
She's had all these, you know, moments in B movies and stuff, but she wants to be more, and Bob Mosby hasn't given that to her. So all in all, like you said, dovetailing. There was a lot of, what's the word I would look for? Just a lot of things connecting in real life and in art that made this movie feel a little special. That being said, thank you for that. I want to go to Patrick. Was that who I said I was going to go to next? Sorry, help me, buddy. Okay, good. Patrick, how do you feel now, jokes aside, that you've seen this movie come out and the script that you worked on endlessly to get to a place that you were happy with? How do you feel about the way everything turned out?
Well, you already asked me, and I said I was very proud. So you're doubling up on me, so I'm going to use my time now to shout things. One, the set dog, who was actually on set most days and is here right now. This is Blue Bonnet. And then number two, a different movie written by Chase Williamson that's out now, I Blame Society. It's fantastic, and you should go rent it.
Nice. Nice. Well, let me ask you this. Is there anybody that I didn't ask this question to that I forget? Because I'm about 3 whiskey cokes deep. And so it's impaired a little bit of my memory. Is there anybody I haven't asked before we go?
You haven't asked Patrick. Ask Patrick.
Shout out.
Come back. Bring it back.
You haven't asked Patrick. Do it a third time. Just do it. Well, I guess we'll wrap this up then. But in the grand scheme of things, I've thanked all of you profusely, and I appreciate all of your patience with me while I directed my first movie. I hope we make many more together. And thank you so much, Chris Gore and Film Threat, for giving us an opportunity to be able to share this movie with people in a way that is just positive and fun, and it reunites us, because most of us haven't seen each other since the pandemic at all. So I haven't seen Chase or Shane since the premiere of our movie. That was the last time I saw you guys.
Well, we're gonna get together and watch the black and white version.
Hell yeah!
Yes, we are. Powell, you got to get on.
I got to finish it. Yeah.
Got to finish the noir cut, and we got to tell Horror Collective. And
I have a big house. We can come over here.
Anytime I am.
And to everybody who joined us, let me just say, anybody who asked a question, anybody who watched this or has stuck it through to the end, thank you so much for supporting our film. We made this movie, as we've said thousands of times now, for very little money. And it means the world to us that you cared enough to join us on this venture, hear some fun stories, and just support independent filmmaking, because we do live in a world now where independent filmmaking is in desperate need of attention and love and support, because not everything has the budget of a Marvel movie. Not everything has the budget of a Denzel Washington film. Some of them are so small. I don't know why Denzel's the first one that came. I don't know why.
So specific.
Now I've ruined it. But the point is that we need fans to talk about this movie and to watch it and to support it, because we are very proud of this, and we do believe it deserves more than where it's been. And hopefully you guys had a great time watching it with us. So thank you very much to Film Threat. Thank you very much to the fans. And thank you to all of you guys joining us today to have a little mini reunion to enjoy our little movie we made.
Yeah, and thank you, Graham. Thank you, everybody. And I should note that the movie is nominated in multiple categories, including one best film made for under $100,000 or less than the cost of an Oscar gift bag. So
that is the best. That's an actual category. I'm telling you now, Chris, it's better.
How much is an Oscar gift bag?
Oh, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's like airline tickets and private, like it's crazy. So we're still getting the comments in. Thank you, everybody. We do the watch parties every week. I'm adding I Blame Society to my watch list. I need to see that film now. No, I got to see it. I'm
really proud of it.
Thank you. Now that I've heard of it, and this won't be the last reunion. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. See if you're just catching the end of this, see Greenlight. It's really, do yourself a favor and check out that film. It's something really special.
On VOD everywhere, iTunes, Amazon, Vudu, you name it. If you can rent it for $3 or buy it for 10, it's there.
It's scrolling right at the bottom.
Shit, look at me. Like I said, 3 whiskey cokes deep. I'm about to hit 4. So yeah.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Chase, what are you doing? What are you doing right now?
I'll see you tomorrow.
We'll talk offline.